Hello guys, and welcome to another video. Today we return to the fantasy world of our good pal to the channel, Cody Lee or Harman Smith or whatever his name is. I don't care, and I'm sure you don't either. Anyways, Harman uploaded a video about 4 hours ago as I write this, talking about how Valve's video showcasing the Steam Deck and they had the icon for Yuzu up. And whenever our pal Cody found out about it, he was all over it, like white on rice, a glass of milk, and a paper plate all in a snowstorm. So let's get into it.
So a lot of people notified me to let me know that Valve officially promoted Yuzu on a Steam Deck video. It seems they know their audience. They know the only reason people are buying this shit is so they can emulate Nintendo games on a superior machine.
No, Harman, Valve did not officially promote Yuzu. They were showing how the Steam Deck works. The person who made the video probably owns a Steam Deck and used their own, and they just so happen to have Yuzu on there. But the reason people are buying Steam Decks aren't necessarily buying Steam Decks for emulating Nintendo Switch games on them. Some of them, believe it or not, buy them to play their Steam libraries on the go, and while the Nintendo Switch allows people like you to do the same, with the Switch you are strictly limited to Nintendo Switch games and games from older Nintendo systems that you must now pay a monthly fee for, which was free on the Nintendo 3DS with the Virtual Console. However, you do not have to pay any such monthly fee to play games from Steam on the Steam Deck. Furthermore, if the Steam Deck is the inferior machine, which it is not, then why can it run some Switch games better than the Switch can? I'm not saying anyone should go out there and pirate Nintendo Switch games nor any other games. I'm just asking a harmless question is all.
But before I could make a video talking about this, before I could talk about like the potential lawsuits that could open up and the things that might go down, Valve removed the video entirely. And I'm not sure if they re-uploaded it to edit it, but it is down. And it's safe to say that is the reason why. Because they did not want a legally questionable aspect of Steam Deck available.
No, Valve took it down because they know how crazy Nintendo's higher-ups can be when it comes to emulation. Nintendo isn't exactly what I would call business savvy because they always have bad decisions that seem to go hand in hand with their good ones, but even they know that they have to stand up to piracy or else it will hurt their business and gut into their profits. But Valve caught the mistake and feared a lawsuit from Nintendo, and considering that both parties would have to hire lawyers, and lawyers being expensive folks to hire, it just makes sense to avoid having a lawsuit entirely, don't you think? So they removed the video.
Is that like the emulation thing is a gray area legally, and if Valve theoretically managed to upset Nintendo enough to like file a lawsuit and really get them to challenge the notion of emulation, to really go after them and really kind of talk about like make it understood that like piracy is a crime, right, in the legal world, and start like going after them, I think PC gaming would like collapse overnight.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Harman, does it take training to be that level of stupid, or does it just come naturally to you? There are other games to play on PC than just emulated Nintendo games, you know. I know that there are several games from PC that are playable on Nintendo Switch, but to say that if emulation was made illegal would cause PC gaming to collapse overnight is just an outright lie. There are some games that you can only play on PC, or they work better, at least, on PC than on consoles, including the Nintendo Switch. Such games that I can think of are Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition, Disco Elysium, and those games have been out for years now. They are playable on Switch, but as they were made with PCs in mind, they play better on PC, or at least have better controls when it comes to PC. If we went back to PC gaming in the 90s, there would be even more games that we could dig up that wouldn't necessarily run on PCs today without emulation, which is why I included the meme clip. If emulation was outlawed, that would indeed kill off a lot of PC gaming's charm, such as randomizers, and I don't know about you all, but I do love to play a randomized video game from time to time, as my gameplay channel shows or will show at some point in the future. Having said that, emulating the games isn't so much the problem, it's piracy that's the problem. If you purchase a Super Nintendo game and upload the ROM from that, as long as it was for backup purposes, that's one thing. But that would depend on the country you live in. In the US, from my understanding, you can back up a ROM so long as you don't distribute it, but putting it up for others to download is straight up illegal, as that is breaking the DMCA.
We kind of are on that point now where the only reason anyone really defends PC gaming, like is because it can allegedly play every Nintendo game that exists, which isn't actually true.
Then why did you say it, Harman?
But now it seems like Valve is trying to like cash in on that and try to like it's the only reason the Steam Deck was ever viable, right? Well, was ever got any kind of traction at all, right, in the online discourse, is because so many people assumed they would just be able to get Yuzu on there and they'd be able to play Switch games like it was a Switch, but that's not how it plays. That's not how it plays out at all, right?
No, Harman, Valve is not trying to cash in on that at all, because they know if they attempted it, Nintendo would be all over them like fleas on a dog. Furthermore, do you have any statistics at all to back up how many people who purchased a Steam Deck wanted to emulate Nintendo Switch games alone? I seriously doubt it. Furthermore, you're ignoring all the games that will eventually be playable on the Steam Deck, I hope. Also, the Steam Deck got traction because now we can have a portable PC on the go and play a lot of our Switch games on the go. That means a playable Saints Row 2 on the commute to work, for example. In addition to that, with the Steam Deck, you can play mods on the games that you play on the go, something you literally cannot do on the Nintendo Switch. And as much as I love Skyrim, sometimes I just want to play it modded.
The fact that Valve took the video down so quickly once people noticed that, it does make me think there are legitimate legal concerns about promoting emulation in an official capacity.
Emulation is legal, Harman. GOG.com and Steam have older games that require emulators to run. You literally cannot run them without some form of an emulator. For example, Eye of the Beholder and Lands of Lord, the Throne of Chaos require the use of an emulator, DOSBox in this case, to run on modern computers. So do several other MS-DOS video games. They sell these games with the permission of the developer, so as you can see, you're talking out of your chocolate starfish here, Harman.
But like for Valve to promote Yuzu in a Valve Steam Deck video, that's not a good look for them. It's really not. And I do think that a big reason why Nintendo has not taken action against Yuzu is that they want to shut them down like completely.
Then sending the Yuzu team a cease and desist letter would be the best way to do it. But as we saw from the Bleem case Sony raised against the Bleem team all those years ago, making emulators isn't illegal, and neither is emulation. It's piracy that Nintendo cares about. Having said that, Nintendo did take down the emulator's eSNES from the emulator zone for one reason or another. It's like, yeah, let's leave up the Switch, Wii U, and 3DS emulators, but let's get rid of the Super Nintendo one. You see what I mean when I say that Nintendo makes some pretty boneheaded decision, folks? Also, Valve didn't promote Yuzu officially. It was an accident, and we all make them, Harman. Except for Nintendo, apparently.
Like, they need to set it up where they can just go after anyone who puts together, like, an emulator, period. Because there's, like, no reason to have them, like, really, when you get right down to it. Like, it's just stealing software from a gaming company, essentially.
They tried that back in the 90s, Harman. It didn't work then, and it won't work now unless laws change. It's the exact same thing with YouTube's BS copyright system. It sucks, but it's how it has to be right now because of how shoddy IP laws are, at least in the States. Also, Harman, what you were referring to is piracy, and good luck taking that stuff down because you will never stop people from wanting things for free. As much as I hate Jim Sterling nowadays, I agree with him on that one. But emulators aren't illegal, Harman. ROMs are, at least when you download them from the internet. Backing them up from games you own is one thing, downloading them from the internet is another thing entirely.
I'm curious just how much longer this can go on, because it's clear there's becoming an increasing backlash among Nintendo fans for like having to deal with like steampunks like insisting they're just emulating everything on their Steam Decks, which isn't actually true. I've had to deal with that, of people pretending that they have like better versions of the games I own on Steam Deck. Well, we need to cut down on that. Like, these people are never going to admit they're not actually playing video games, and they just kind of sit there and just do nothing. Like, we need to like make emulators like straight up illegal. And I am optimistic that Nintendo will eventually make that happen.
No, they won't, Harman. You know how I know that? because they tried it back in the 90s. Sony did as well, and if they didn't succeed then what on God's green earth possessed you to think that they would succeed now? For them to succeed in making emulators illegal, then laws would have to change, and even then, Nintendo won't make emulators illegal, as that would hurt the gaming community as a whole. Furthermore, these emulator developers aren't stealing code from Nintendo. That was one of the things that Sony sued Bleem over, and it turns out the Bleem team won the case on grounds of fair use. Ultimately, they had to close down due to the court costs, but it's at the precedent that emulators aren't illegal, Harman. How bloody hard is it to do even just a little bit of research? Anyway, with the end of that last bit from Harman, we have finally come to the end of my video. How very little of Harman's video is watchable, meaning that this video is going to be just a little more tolerable than his, I hope. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now!